Oh, man. Disney getting sued because they're using Tarkin. 2016. What? Why now? Is this a winnable suit? We're going to dive into that and see if this is indeed something that these people can win. That and more on today's episode of The Kristian Harloff Show with myself and Steph Sabraw. We are live. Let's get into it. Here we go. All right, everybody, welcome back to the live episode. This is our third day in a row going live, and this time I am joined. Back to hey, that's me. Live episode. Why am I still going live now? Our third day in a row. Oh, that's why. Going live, and this time. Me. What happened? That is you. I don't know what's going on. I was talking twice.
It's me.
It's you. It's you. It's you, Steph. So yes, you're pretty competitive, right?
Yes.
So this is what,
but not annoyingly. There's a fine line.
I agree. This is what Roxy said about you too. So this is what went down on Monday. We were going as we do every show. We go through our topics, and then the audience can chime in. They send in their super chats, and at the end of the episode, we take the questions like we did last week. And I think that when you guys were on last week, we did like 12 or 13 questions, which was great. Roka was on, and he did 40, I think 43 questions, 43. Super chats is what, or questions I should say, that came in, and Roxy and Mike came in yesterday to try to beat that, and they beat it with 47 steps. So the record right now stands at 47 questions. So you and I have to try to beat 47 today to see if we can do which combination.
We can get to 50.
You think we can get 50 today? I don't know. I don't know if the topic is big enough to get to 50, but
You're right. But you can ask about anything.
Yeah, they can ask about anything, and they can have any questions that they want to ask, and that's what they do. And it's been we so far. I mean, already we've got. I can tell you, we started up with 3. So there you go. Okay, so we've got a lot to discuss, and I have to tell you before I get into anything, because I can't do the review embargo still in on it, but. What were your thoughts on the Transformers 1 trailer?
Oh, it was... Well, I thought the first imagery looked a little weird to me.
I thought the first trailer stuff was horrendous.
Yeah.
Absolutely atrocious, brutal, dumb. I hated it. Let me tell you what.
Why?
I loved this movie.
Oh my gosh, I was like, wow, go in, Kristian.
Because
damn.
I love being wrong. Because then, because what happened when it came down to this movie, after a little bit, I started seeing other things. I'm like, oh, because I went and saw, I think it was Despicable Me 75 or whatever with my kids, and they were like, oh, I want to see this. I'm like, oh, this is who this is for. It's not for people who care about the Transformers lore. It's going to be a goofy thing with movie star, voices, and they're not really giving a crap about the lore itself. Wrong. This is a incredible Transformers film, one of the best Transformers films. It's got heart. And I was worried about both Chris Hemsworth and Brian Tyree Henry going, okay, these are just movie stars. They're not going to get the essence of the character. Wrong. This movie has everything. There was a couple of times throughout it, because it starts off, I'm like, oh, okay, this is fun, and then it starts just getting better and better and better. I had this big Kool-Aid smile on my face the entire time, Steph, and I'm watching. You're going to love it. You're going to love it.
I'm so excited. Yeah, because I felt similarly. I was like, this is such a fun cast. I feel like they're gearing this towards just kids, which is great.
Yeah.
But that's good to hear, because I'm watching the Transformers movies, and I love some of them. I like others.
I've only liked 2. I've liked 2.
Yeah, I wouldn't say I hate any, because they still look cool, but some of them just aren't for me. But I like certain characters in Transformers a lot, so it's nice to hear that there's a good movie coming out, because Bumblebee was great.
So Bumblebee and the 1986 animated are the only 2 Transformers movies that I like. I don't disagree with you that they look incredible. Right, yeah. But people are like, oh, the first Michael Bay one's good. No, Optimus Prime is hiding behind a house, dancing around, and no one hears him. It's ridiculously stupid. It's not good. And people are like, oh, the first one's not too bad. First one stinks, and they all stink except Bumblebee.
I like the first one, and then I do have to say that I know when it came out, a lot of people didn't feel the way I'm about to say, but I thought the Mark Wahlberg movies were refreshing.
I mean,
compared to the previous ones.
Yeah, sure. I mean, look, even the last one was that I saw with Anthony Ramos was fine. It was fine. I didn't hate it as much.
Rise of the Beast.
Yeah, I didn't hate it as much as the other, but it just like they're forgettable until I just said it. I was like, oh yeah, that one. I didn't mind that one, but it's whatever. I haven't really. I've only enjoyed 3. Like as a Transformers fan, gone. Oh, that's the essence of Transformers, and that's Bumblebee, 1986 Transformers, and then this one. And I can tell you that nothing touches 86 Transformers for me, but I don't know which one I like better, Bumblebee or Transformers 1. I don't know. I think I have to go back and rewatch Bumblebee because Transformers 1 to me was just the way that it goes. And again, I don't want to dive too much into like embargo territory here, but it's really, really good. It's really good.
Is it going in the direction that X-Men 97 kind of went in, which was updating some things but really sticking to the core of it?
Sure. And it also had a very good like kind of X-Men First Class deal too, and it's not a spoiler, it's in the trailer with how Magneto and Professor X start off and then how it ultimately becomes, because that's what I was worried about. I'm like, that doesn't seem like Prime at all. I mean, look, in the same way that Han Solo for me, some people love that Solo movie. To me, I thought Aiden was good in the movie, but I don't think he was, or Alden, whatever. I don't think he is, he doesn't carry the essence of Han Solo. And people were like, oh, but he started out this way and eventually he got there. Not to me, but here, yes.
Wow.
Very much so. So I loved it. I absolutely loved it. Came out of it going, oh, this could be all right. Left singing to the heavens and telling me I called Roka because I know Roka's a big Transformers fan. I called Mike Vogel, who's a big fan. I called my brother. Said, you got to see this movie. Said, you got to see it. I was so excited that the social embargo was allowed because I asked, I was like, is there a social embargo? And they said, no, you can you can do your initial reaction, but you just can't do a full review. And I was like, done. And it was great. I've been doing it in this one spot in New York. It's right by the Alien Romulus thing that's still out. And people are like, why do you keep doing it in front of the Romulus thing? It's got the best lighting.
That's all that matters.
It is.
When you're trying to get a video in, it doesn't matter if a trash can's behind me if the sun is directing.
It's got to be good lighting. It was good lighting, and it's really good lighting. And I was and I've done it in different places that it looks like you're filming with a potato. It's terrible. The lighting doesn't look good. So that's my spot. So for as long as Alien Romulus is up there, that's how long it's going to be in the thing. But anyway. That is the review, or I guess first reaction of the movie. I'm going to do a full-on review of it when I can. I think tomorrow is when it drops, so I'll do a full review on the channel. Let's get to the actual news itself. Here it is. This is Steph, I don't know what to make of this story, and
right.
We'll talk about this in a second when we give our thoughts, but. The legal battle. There's a legal battle over Rogue One. And I'm like, okay, is the family suing now? Well, no. A legal battle has reportedly erupted over Rogue One, a Star Wars story, and that film's use of the digital likeness of classic British actor Peter Cushing over 2 decades after his death. London-based film company, the Tyburn Film Productions, is suing Disney for using Cushing's image in the film, according to The Telegraph. The company is claiming that the VFX recreation of the late actor violates a contract made between the company and Cushing before he died in 1994. They allege that the agreement made for Cushing's intended appearance in a TV film that was never made gives the company the ability to veto any recreation of Cushing's image with the use of special effects. It's claimed that Lucasfilm and Lunac Heavy Industries, which produced the original Star Wars, did not ask for permission from Tyburn Film Productions when recreating the image of the actor for Rogue One and have received unjust enrichment from using Cushing's image. Lucasfilm and Lunac Heavy Industries reportedly stated that they did not believe permission was needed because of the terms under Cushing's contract for the film in '77. They argue they own the rights to use Cushing's image from the original film. Disney failed to have the claim dismissed at the High Court in London, and a full factual inquiry was needed, but the judge was also far from persuaded that Tyburn Film Productions would win the case. A trial will now take place at a later date. Veteran actor Guy Henry played and voiced the Grand Moff Tarkin character in Rogue One, with CG used to digitally alter his head to resemble Cushing. Okay, so I'm going to give my thoughts here, and then I'm going to bring this on over to Steph. Let me start, because I don't really understand how this is potentially working. I don't. It is very, very strange to me. How did they decide that they were going to do this? How did they decide that this company? Did they look and they said, okay, we're going through these documents and we're going through these things. We realize we never really brought this up, but I think we have a chance to sue these guys. Why did you tell us that 5 years ago? Well, I was drinking coffee and was going through some old records and I saw this and I said, oh, I forgot all about that. Can we get some money on these guys? Let's give it a shot. So they did what they could do, and look, it's almost like 10 years later, and it just seems a little strange that they brought this up now. And whenever they initially brought it up, I don't know, but I also think that if you had the rights for him in the actual movie itself, why in the world didn't they? Why couldn't they use it? I think they'd be able to use it. I think because it's a Star Wars movie, they used them from that film. You'd assume they have the rights for that. But I don't know, Steph. You hear this. What do you think?
I think it's really weird. And I think if I'm Peter from heaven, I would be like, wow, this is creepy, but I feel pretty popular right now. Yeah. But I think it's really weird. I mean, this guy unfortunately died in the 80s, and now in 2024 we're talking about ownership to his likeness, which I also think is just a overarching crazy conversation we have to deal with in this day and age. Yeah. And then for it to be so random, the movie came out years ago. So I really do think exactly how you played it out is kind of what I was thinking. I was like, were they just randomly in a financial crunch and we're like, let's go through our old paperwork and see where we could get some money?
It seems like that, because it's like, when was this initial thing filed? It's like, oh, well, we were going through this thing and Peter Cushing did something for us. When? Like in 94. Really? What does it say? It says that he can't do certain things, and if this isn't, but they didn't really know about CGI. Yeah, but it kind of ties in. They never paid us for Rogue One. Couldn't we? That's a big production. That movie made $1 billion. You think we can get anything on him? I'll call my brother Jerry. He's an attorney. All right, we'll call him. Let's see if he can get us some cash. And then they go. It plays like that. It doesn't play like they really, like the next day. Like if they knew it right away, it's like the day after this movie comes out, or when it's the second someone sees it, they're like, wait a minute, we own the rights to this. That never happened. They never asked us permission, but to like discover it later, as the kids say, something stinks in Denver.
Something stinks. And I'm confused as to if he knew he was signing a contract then that would give a company like this the rights to his likeness. For just like filming something with them. It's not like he had like an overarching 10-year contract with them and then I could see something like that happening. It was one thing, so it feels like the whole contract in general is a little abusive.
It's just 94 is not playing out to what you can do in 2016 when that movie came out too. Yeah. And I mean, I guess it's apples and oranges as far as like, yeah, but legally they say you could do this, 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 and this. And it's like, yeah, this to me is someone going, hey, we got to get ourselves out of a hole. We found this thing of this movie we did a long time ago and we can sue. And even if they get like $400, they'll probably be happy.
Right.
So
I know that's what it's giving. Yeah. It's giving like anything. We'll take anything. Yeah, but like, even the judge is saying that basically he would be, or she would be shocked if they could get anything out of this case, which is such a bad sign.
We're suing you for $1 billion. No. All right, fine. We're suing you for $1 million. No. $100. No. A sandwich? Yeah, we'll give you a sandwich. Okay, fine.
Well, yeah.
Fine, we'll get a sandwich. That's
pay for lunch.
That's all that's going to happen. This is a ridiculous lawsuit. This is ridiculous.
It's stupid, and I bet I remember talking about when this scene came out with you, or not when it came out, but we rewatched the movie together.
Mm-hmm, yes.
And I liked that they used him because he's just the coolest character, one of the coolest characters ever. But I don't even think they needed to show his face. I remember saying I like that first shot where you just see his reflection off the glass when he's looking out from the spaceship. And it just looks so cool, and you don't really need to get that uncanny valley face shot. So I wonder if Disney knew about this, they probably wouldn't have done it necessarily in that way, or just simply asked for permission. I don't think they were, for as sneaky as Disney can be. I don't think this is one of those times.
Well, sneaky is one thing, and stupid legal people. Anytime, like when I was working at the studio, they would go. They basically would comb through stuff and say, okay, they had a legal department that said, hey, well, you can use this, but you can't use that. That name that you have, that John Deaston. Well, John Deaston is a real person in Cincinnati, so you got to change his name to John, Smith or Beeston, whatever. Like, so it's too similar to they comb through that stuff. Like, so they would say, well, no, this is probably what happened. Isn't it? Well, you want to put him in there? What's the legality on it? Well, we got the sign up from his estate and everything too. They're cool with it. They're fine with it. Because of what happens. The reason why is because of the deal that we have. He was in 77. We're pulling all images from the 77 film. That's our film. We own it. That's going to be the leg that they stand on. And they're ultimately going to win because of that. This is, again, they'd be lucky to get a sandwich out of it. But if they want, to get a good sandwich, I know a good place over here. It's pretty good.
Let me know. I love a good sandy.
Oh, when you come here to visit, I'm going to take you to this place. It's like, except this deli sandwich is. It took me 2 days to eat it. It was so. It was massive, but it was so good, and it was like it was a healthy sandwich too. It was really, really good, but the bread was tremendous. It was so good, so good. Anyway, so I ask you guys, what do you think here? Is this something that you think is going to be worth it? Is it not worth it? How do you think this whole thing's going to play out, this lawsuit? I don't know, man. I don't know how it's going to play. Okay, let's get to this next one because we're both Dune fans here, Steph. And Dune Messiah is going to be quite different, says Denis Villeneuve. Filmmaker Denis Villeneuve has spilled the beans. It doesn't say that, but I made it up. Has spent the past few years in the sands of Arrakis for his 2-film adaptation of Frank Herbert's iconic sci-fi novel, Dune. Both movies ended up critical and commercial successes, so it came as little shock that Villeneuve intends to continue with plans for a film adaptation of Dune Messiah. There's only the second book in the series, the novel does close out the story of Paul Atreides and serves as a coda to the first novel. As a result, it seems the right material for a trilogy capper. This week, though, Villeneuve, who has previously made it clear that Messiah will be his last Dune film, tells Vanity Fair that not only is he not rushing the next film, he sees it as a quite separate work from the previous two. He says, the thing is, first, it's really important that people understand for me, it was really a diptych, whatever that is. I said that wrong. What is that word? Do you know what that is? Diptych?
I actually got to be honest. I looked it up. It's like an overall painting.
Okay.
A picture that you're painting.
We're both unconscious swine, but at least you looked it up. It was 2 movies, a pair of movies that will be the adaptation of the first book. That's done. That's finished. So if I do a third one, which is the writing process, I will say that for me, it's a different object. It's not like a trilogy. Almost, it's strange to say, but I really want to, if I go back there, to do something that feels different and has its own identity. Let's say for me, Dune, in a way, is finished, and Dune Messiah will be something new that I will approach from its own different cinematic philosophy. That fits in with the book, which takes place 12 years later and takes a quite different tone. Villeneuve also adds that his final film could lay the groundwork for someone else to continue the franchise if the studio wishes. I think that it would be a good idea for me to make sure that in Messiah there are the seeds in the project. If someone wants to do something else afterwards because they are beautiful books, they are more difficult to adapt. They become more and more esoteric. It's a bit more tricky to adapt, but I'm not closing the door. I will not do it myself, but it could happen with someone else. However, he won't lock down what comes next as such, confirming that he is working on Rendezvous with Rama, Cleopatra, and Dune Messiah, and that we'll see what will be next. This makes me excited because he's doing it, and I wouldn't, if he didn't do it, they still would have gotten somebody else to do it, which would have been a bummer, but I love his thought process of let's finish. And this is what I was saying, by the way, and people were like, what are you talking about? Oh, and Roxy gave me some crap on it too, but I don't see Dune 1 and Dune 2 as two movies. I really see it as one big movie, and they had to split up because it would have been too damn long. And they adapted the novel well enough, because sometimes what they do, these studios, they'll take a book and they condense it, and then it's going to be, you know, an hour and 45 minutes or 2 hours, and that movie needed to be 5, almost 6 hours long, you know, because it is just so, there's just so much to it. It's so rich. So it's one big story. It's not like, oh, this happened and then this is part 2. This is Messiah is part 2. Messiah is really part 2. That was just a continuation of of really what we were, of the story that was told in the first movie. It was just a big epic film. So I love the fact that it's going to be different. I love the fact that this is a sequel. This is the second movie, really. This is the second film out of his, and he said he wants it to, in the same way that Empire Strikes Back is radically different than A New Hope in tone and feel and all of that. And in the same way that, like, Captain America Winter Soldier is radically different than, like, Iron Man and those things, even though I know different movies, but still in the same universe. Or you could say Winter Soldier is different from the first Captain America. So I love that the tone is different. I don't know. You hear all these comments. What do you think?
I really am excited about his take on it. Just as a fan of the books, I think that you're not going to be able to please anyone. But if it wasn't him, I feel like, and a lot of people who didn't read the books were thinking that Dune Part 2 was just the beginning, and that we were gonna see Paul Atreides kind of take over, and what it would be like, and marrying the princess. But that's not what happens, at least in the book. So they would have to just make up source material. What happens is the book takes place 12 years later.
Right.
So it is a completely different vibe, and it's not kind of a war-torn story as much. It's more political, like you were saying. So I think that it's a really great take on it. I think he should take his time, because it is 12 years in the future. So what they're going to do with Anya Taylor-Joy,
right.
Timothée Chalamet will be fine, and so will Zendaya, but I wonder what they were thinking. I'm sure they had a thought of what they were going to do with Anya Taylor-Joy, but they're going to have to wait some time so that it feels, if they bring back that character. I don't know what their intentions are there.
And when does the movie even happen, right? So if he's working on these other things, you would just, let's say at a minimum 4 years at a minimum, maybe.
Right.
There's no way that you're going to see Dune Messiah for that. So they'll both, our leads will both be a little older, so it'll work out anyway. But I can't wait. I mean,
I know.
Yeah.
It's so exciting. They did such a good job with it, because I read The Hobbit, and it's really such an amazing book. And then I rewatched The Hobbit with the vision of having read the books, and it is such a shame that they extended to 3 movies. I would completely understand if they did a part 1 and part 2. It's almost like he did exactly what I wish they did with The Hobbit.
Yeah.
With not obviously stylistically, it's a completely different story, but I like the way that he didn't over tell a story or add in parts that weren't actually there.
Right.
He just told it in the time it needed to be told.
Yep, I mean, I agree with you, and we're going to have way more stuff to talk about. Speaking of Peter Jackson, and there's a big story actually very similar to what we were just talking about here with Gollum, but we'll get into that in just a moment. I got to ask you guys about Dune. What do you think? Whether you agree, disagree, that you think that the other movies are part 1, part 2, or 2 separate movies, I should say. Clearly, they're part 1 and part 2. But what do you think about a Messiah and how different it needs to be? Put your thoughts in there. Tell us exactly what you think. Before we move on, I want to tell you guys about 2 of our sponsors. But I want to start with Rocket Money. And Steph, I forget, do you use Rocket Money?
Not yet.
You really should use Rocket Money, because it's a personal finance app, and it's one of these things where, you have those any of the subscriptions that you sign up for, Steph, where it's the you get it on your phone, and then you're getting charged for it every month, and you're like, oh, I forgot that I did that. It tells you, it shows you all of the different ones that you've had and all the different subscriptions. It'll cancel it for you if you tell it to. It gives you an update on your bank account, what you're doing, what you have coming up, the bills that you've spent, how much. It's been so great for me in organization, where I literally have a notice, and it says you have this coming up, this coming up. It is great. So I always tell people that they should go and sign up. It'll change people's lives. You just go to rocketmoney.com/bigthing. and you can get started there. It's so good. Rocketmoney.com/BigThing. I am just such a massive fan of Rocket Money. And I'm also a fan of staying hydrated. And that's why I tell people about Liquid IV, and I'll tell you about them right now. I was having a barbecue with the family, and I was going to go and we went to pick up some games for the kids to play, and I was picking up cornhole. And while I was at the sports store getting it, I kept seeing Liquid IV. And more, I'm so excited that people are learning about Liquid IV because I've known about them now for a bit since they've been on the show. Liquid IV has refreshing summer flavors like popsicle firecracker, it's got rainbow sherbet. It hits the spot when you need transformative, hydrating relief. I really do enjoy it, and it's great to have Liquid IV. It really is, and I love this popsicle one, so I'm showing it right now. You can choose from their line of sugar-free flavors. They have raspberry melon, they have white peach, they have green grape. So what you want to do is you want to tear, pour, live more. One stick, 16 ounces of water hydrates better than water alone. It's powered by LIV Hydroscience, which is an optimized ratio of electrolytes, essential vitamins, and clinically tested nutrients that turn ordinary water into extraordinary hydration. It's got 3 times the electrolytes of the leading sports drink, 8 essential vitamins and nutrients, always non-GMO, vegan, gluten-free, dairy-free, and soy-free. So indulge in hydration this summer with Liquid IV. Get 20% off your first order of Liquid IV, but you got to use liquidiv.com and use the code BIGTHING at checkout. You get 20% off your first order when you shop Better Hydration today. Use that promo code BIGTHING at liquidiv.com. All right, thank you to our friends over at both Rocket Money and, of course, Liquid IV. Links are in the description, and people, if they want to help out the show, that's how you do it. Steph, I got bad news for you.
What?
We're at 5 questions. You're 43 away from beating Mike and Roxy. I don't think it's going to happen today. Ugh. I'm sorry. You see, Mike leaves you, and he goes and he winds up winning the title with another franchise.
It's really wrong.
I think so too. But maybe when he comes back, if he does, he's going to jump back. He's going to be like a utility player. So when he comes back, or maybe we get Brett on. But hey, I'm counting you out before the show's over. We still got about an hour and a half left. But 5 questions is still a nice amount of questions, and I'm glad that people are chiming in and want to get their voices heard. So we'll be able to do that. So thank you to everybody who's been putting in there right now. Let's get to the next topic at hand. And we were just discussing, Steph, the Hobbit movies beforehand and in general with Lord of the Rings. But there's a Hobbit movie, not a Hobbit movie, a Gollum movie coming out. Andy Serkis is directing, Peter Jackson is producing, and now apparently the rumor is Hunt for Gollum is going to be 2 films. Making an appearance on a British talk show this morning, Sir Ian McKellen was asked yet again if he'd be returning to the upcoming Lord of the Rings Hunt for Gollum. Word broke in 2023 that Warner Brothers and New Line were set to develop more live-action movies based on the property. Then in May came news of a deal done with Embracer Group AB to develop new films, with WBD confirming the first of these will be The Hunt for Gollum, which is aiming to release in 2026. The other day, McKellen confirmed that he would like to return, but in this new interview, he added a little something extra. He said there'll be a script arriving sometime in the new year, and I'll judge whether I want to go back. I would love to go back to New Zealand, number one, and also I don't like the idea of anyone else playing Gandalf. I'm told it's 2 films. I probably shouldn't be saying that, but I haven't read the script, so I don't know if it is. That more than 1 film being in development is old news, but Gollum potentially being a 2-parter is new. It comes as little surprise after what happened with The Hobbit. Andy Serkis is directing with Peter Jackson and his writing partners Fran Walsh and Philip Boyens producing and heavily involved. I'm not gonna lie to you, Steph. This makes me nervous.
Yeah.
It makes me nervous. It's like it's almost like you didn't learn your lesson last time.
Right.
They stretched The Hobbit into 2 movies and then they stretched it into 3. They were like, no, we're not doing 2. We're gonna do a trilogy. Why? Just make a good movie. And if it's a good movie, then, and I get it, maybe it's exactly why of how we found out, and that's why they did it. So maybe what happened was they're like, okay, we want to do it, we think it's going to do well, but we need him to come back, Ian McKellen, because Gandalf's such a big part of this story. We need him to come back. He's 90 years old or whatever he is, or close to it. And
yeah, he's 85.
He's 85 years old, so he's 85, and they're like, okay, we could do a movie. It does really well, and then we want him to come back again. Either he's retired or, he's whatever. And it's like, maybe the decision was based off of that. I don't know. But the other side is just the money grab side of it, which is, well, it's Lord of the Rings. We can do some big stuff with it, and let's do it. And then they sign it up. But the devil's advocate is, hey, maybe they have two really great stories that they want to tell. They're going to do it differently this time. They want to make up for the fact that they felt like the last one was rushed, and they make two movies. But I don't know. You hear this. What do you think?
Yeah, it definitely makes me nervous because it's not even, there isn't a Gollum book. It's even more different than comparing it to Hobbit because they're making it up, which could be good and a better, more freedom.
But I think there's a story though. But I think there is some story. I think there's a story with that Gollum is involved in it or something. Or not Gollum, Gandalf. I think there is something.
Or is it just what they quickly reference in the book, like the years between when the ring was found and?
I thought there was like a shorter thing that Tolkien wrote. Maybe I'm wrong. People will.
The Silmarillion. Okay, whatever. Maybe. I mean, there's a lot of source material that Tolkien had that his son Christopher, I think, has been publishing. I haven't read all of that, so I could be wrong. I just haven't read anything. When you read the books, you realize Gollum has a lot more to do, even more so than in the movie. So I'm not saying that there's not a story there. It's just interesting that it's not like you have the trilogy of books to go off of. So I don't know. I'm also a little bit concerned about Gollum is an annoying character. He's one of the greatest villains of all time, but he is. I wonder how it's going to play on a trilogy of movies. But in terms of Sir Ian McKellen, I think it's great that he wants to come back. I don't know how he does it. I guess this is why they say the moment you stop working, you start dying. And he hopefully will never die because I guess he never wants to stop working, but I would be out of there by 85.
You would assume so. I mean, even we just talked, our whole show yesterday was about the late great legend was of course James Earl Jones, and he was working. He's 93 or 92 or 93 when he passed.
Right. It feels like it's the secret.
I don't know how they do it. You're 100% right, but I got to ask you guys. What do you think about this news? This is a 2-part Gollum movie. I mean, I think that most people might have the same answers. Like, well, because. Here's the other problem before we jump away from that stuff. This is what I don't understand when they announce these things, because you look at something like Kevin Costner's movie, right? The Horizon movie. Now, he put his own money into it, and they shot both movies. The first one didn't do well, and they were before they even put it out. We're doing this movie, and we're putting it out in June, and then the second one comes out in August. And I said, why would you make that announcement? You don't even know how the first one's going to do. And it's a 3-hour Western. Nobody's seeing Westerns in the theater. No one wants to sit down and watch a 3-hour. I like that movie too, by the way. But I'm like, it plays like a television show. I'm like, what happens if it doesn't do good? And I remember saying to Jeff or somebody, or I can't remember, I was like, if there's no way that this movie comes out in August if this one doesn't do well. And people were like, well, Warner Bros. Doesn't care because they didn't put their money into it. I was like, they're still going to put some money into it. And that's exactly what happened. The movie didn't perform. And so what happens if the Gollum movie, the first one, comes out and the fans are like, I don't know. Then you have a second movie that no one wants to look at. The Fantastic Beasts is another example, right?
Right.
So they have we're going to do 87 of these movies. And
not even accounting that perhaps like Food and Fantastic Beasts that what if something, God forbid, happens to one of your lead cast.
Right.
Where you have to recast them in the middle of a trilogy production.
Yeah, exactly. No, someone said you're trying to beat 50. No, 48 is what we were trying to beat, and we're at 6. So, but that's not always about that. We're about Steph and I talking, having a good conversation, getting these in these topics. There are some really good stories that popped. And I also saw somebody who was asking about this Speak No Evil movie. I did an out of the theater reaction to it already because it comes out in 2 days. You know that one? It's a remake. Did you hear about this one, Steph?
Yeah, I did.
Yeah, so it's a remake of this Danish film, and and I actually think the embargo has dropped for that, so I could kind of give my thoughts on it. But it's a remake of a Danish film. The Danish film is pretty creepy from what I've read up on and seen some of the stuff on, and the ending is really disturbing. The ending is still, I would say, depending on you look at it, it's disturbing, but way more conventional this time around, and it is definitely made more so for, let's say, American audiences. And as like I said, it's just, you could see the studio going, you can't do an ending like that and try to make a lot of money. You can't do that, and not with the amount of people we're going to have in this. And So do you know what this story is essentially about?
No.
So
I've just seen it's James McAvoy, right?
Yeah, James McAvoy, Scoot McNairy, Mackenzie Davis. Mackenzie Davis and Scoot McNairy are a couple. They're with their daughter. They're on vacation. They meet James McAvoy and his family, and then while they're on vacation in Italy, they hit it off as a family, and then they're invited to this family's house to stay in for like a week, and they do, and all hell breaks loose. We'll just say that they find out something stinks in Denver, as the kids say, and it's McAvoy. McAvoy is really a great actor. First of all, it made me realize that he could play Conor McGregor because he's absolutely massive in this movie. He's a beast. He's a jacked up monster in this movie. But he could play Conor McGregor if they ever did a story and they wanted to do it now, he could do it. But he's just such a good actor because he can play a kind of peaceful thinker like Professor X, and then he can play an absolute madman like he did in Split and how he does in this. And so the movie is fine. It's fine.
Okay.
It's fine. It's like, it's a Blumhouse movie. It's one of these brilliant things that Blumhouse does. It probably didn't cost that much to make. If you want to go see a movie, I don't know why it didn't come out Halloween. It's more. I guess maybe it's more like a psychological thriller, any of that. But yeah, it's a movie that I wasn't bummed that I went and saw it. I'm like, okay, it is what it is. It's fine. It's all right. And then when I read about the ending I was like, I hope they don't do that ending here, and they didn't. And I was like, okay, because I wanted to be read up on the first movie, so I knew what the hell was going on. And then I had kind of saw what the ending was. I'm like, good. I'm glad they didn't do that. Anyway, so I don't know if you guys are even interested in that movie. I wonder how it's going to do. And this is what I always say about why I think it doesn't matter what I think about Blumhouse's movies. Some of them I really like. Some I think are fine. Some I think stink. But I think they are the most brilliant production company out there. Them, A24, they're brilliant at what they do. They literally made a movie about a haunted swimming pool that made money. And that was just a bunch of people getting stoned going, we should make a horror movie about a swimming pool and make it for $33. And that's exactly what they did. And they made money on it. They're brilliant. They're absolutely brilliant. But we got more. I'm a He-Man fan, right?
Yeah.
Masters of the Universe, you guys know. Well, this movie is the first one that I'm actually excited about because we just talked about Bumblebee. Travis Knight is directing this one. And it seems to really be moving now, Steph. We're getting a lot of information about like the cast, and you're getting more and more people that are Tila's been cast and all these people have been cast. Well, now there's a big rumor about who Skeletor is. And have you heard who it is?
No.
Take a guess. I kind of just gave you a hint.
One of the Jokers. So it's not Jared Leto.
Jared Leto is offered the Skeletor role. A new report at Jeff Snyder, the Snyder. And I love that people don't understand what that is. Someone the other day was like, don't you think that's disrespectful to say his name like that? I'm like, not unless you think disrespect came from the great Booker T.
Right.
Booker T's the one who said that.
Even I know that.
Of course. Jeff Snyder. It's my favorite. I just love when Booker T said that. Anyway, he says that Jared Leto has been offered the role of Skeletor in the upcoming live-action Masters of the Universe movie at Amazon, MGM, and Mattel. The potential news follows just days after Community and Glow actress Alison Brie has been set to play Skeletor's second-in-command, Evil Lynn, in the film. That scares me, by the way, and we'll talk about that in a second. If accurate, he would join a cast that includes Nicholas Galzatine as Prince Adam, He-Man, and Camila Mendes as Royal Guard Captain Tila. Those two castings don't scare me. Frank Langella played the Skeletor role in the prior 1980s live-action film, and Mark Hamill recently voiced the role for Kevin Smith's animated series. Travis Knight directs the film that centers on Prince Adam of Eternia, who, thanks to his power sword, turns into He-Man and is imbued with superhuman strength and abilities. He uses those abilities to defend his native planet and Castle Grayskull. The property is best known for the 1983 animated series, which was adapted to the big screen in '87. Knight will direct the screenplay from Chris Butler and Robbie Brenner. Todd Black, Jason Blumenthal, and Steve Tisch are producing. Masters of the Universe will score a worldwide theatrical release on June 5th, 2026. This is the first Masters of the Universe movie that I've been excited about. I don't need to continuously tell everybody my story about it. There's enough documentation of how involved I was with it. Shogun creator and or showrunner and writer Justin Marks was a part of the version that I was ultimately part of also, and he had a great take on it. And there's a lot of other things that science and fantasy, magic, and science needs to mix. It needs to be Lord of the Rings meets Star Wars. I feel like Travis Knight will hit that. The Alison Brie side of it scares me a little bit. She's not that she's not a good dramatic actress. She's done dramatic roles. But I worry that they bring her in for her comedic chops in this. And the movie does not need to be comedic. It should be fantasy meets sci-fi. No Transformers humor, no Marvel humor. Make it a sci-fi fantasy movie. And when you start to get into that, the goofy jokes here and there, that's when you lose me. But other than that, I like this casting. But Jared Leto, I'm so interested because so many people are on the fence with him. They know he's a really good actor. But at first I said to myself, I read Jared Leto. And then I said, wait a minute, Jared Leto's a good actor. Like he's really good. And he plays good weirdos. And I think Skeletor, I wonder if they're going to have him crack jokes because Skeletor cracked some jokes back in the day.
Right. I just hope he doesn't method act on this one.
Well,
that's all we can hope for. And I know it's true. He gets dragged. Some stuff deserved. Some stuff it's like, what the hell, man? But others, it's like we forget he actually has good performances. So I'm not too apprehensive about that. I really like Knight. I think he's done some great worked on some great projects. Kubo and the Two Strings
so good.
Is one of my favorites. It's so good.
Yeah, it is.
So it's exciting. I think that he's a great person. I want to attach to this to Masters of the Universe. I'm not as familiar with the property, but from what you've described and from his work before, it seems like a good match.
Oh, it really can be phenomenal if they can nail it. It just nobody's been able to really nail it in a very long time. And a lot of the problems, at least when I was involved with it, were the studio cooks in the kitchen and they didn't have the right people doing it that really understood it and got it. And like you said, Travis Knight, when it was the first time when I heard that somebody was attached to it, that I went, well, wait a minute. It was the first one that I went, well, this guy could do it, because I'll never forget when we went and we mentioned Bumblebee a couple times on this show today. Ellis and I went to see that movie, and he and I saw the first Transformers together before we were even doing schmoes. We were performing in La Jolla at the Comedy Store that weekend, and so we had just gotten back. It was me, Ellis, and Ari Shaffir, and we went to go see the Transformers movie, and we were both kind of looked, because we were both so psyched about it. We both looked at each other afterwards and were like, "Oh, all right, it looked cool." And then we were just bombarded after we did schmoes with these Michael Bay fart fests for.
Oh my gosh!
Right. Like
I'm dealing with that right now, Kristian.
God
it's
bless.
Crazy.
It's
and I never said, like usual, like how we do. If we don't like something, I'm never like, you're an absolute anus for liking this. I just was like, some of this didn't hit for me, and that's okay. And they were like, you know what you should do? Shut your mouth. Like I got so many DMs.
Wow.
That's like, you don't like Transformers? You should shut your mouth.
Really? I didn't realize there was that much love behind it. The franchise stinks. It stinks.
No, it's crazy. I was like, maybe I shouldn't cover Michael Bay films because it's like Snyderverse.
It's not that bad.
No, I actually like Snyderverse. Yeah. I agree with a lot of it. I'm just saying in terms of how hard.
How like passionate. Okay.
Yes.
Yeah.
For Michael Bay, but just in a not good way.
Yeah. Well, I was I those movies. Like, did you see the thing with Stanley Tucci when he was playing Merlin? Have you gotten there yet?
Yes, I've watched all of that.
Oh, it's like diarrhea. It really is. It's just nasty stuff. But anyway, my point is, we were just bombarded with that stuff, and we were like, oh God, here we go again. And yes, I'd see Kubo, and I thought it was a really good movie, but I was like, they're just gonna give him the Michael Bay notes, and it opens up with Cybertron. And I look at Ellis and I look at each other like we just found gold. And we had like these, all right, like, what? This is the one we've been waiting for? Like, this is, the guy gets it. He understands that he gets it. And I think John Cena, I didn't love in that movie. But for the most part, the rest of it was just really, really good. They understood what it was. And then, so if he's getting this, I'm on board with it, but I do hope that they go more in the vein of the 2000 and I forget what I always say, 2002. It was the Cartoon Network. If you can find it, Steph, the Cartoon Network 2002 He-Man series is the best with lore and all of that. In the same way that I finally finished Shogun. I told you that, right?
Yes. Finally, you didn't tell me you finished it.
I finally finished it. It's phenomenal. It was great. It was great.
Okay.
Yeah, I finished it.
Here we are.
Yes, we're caught up.
Look at you like a human.
I know, it's fair, but it was good, and I have thoughts, obviously, a lot of thoughts, but I don't want to give spoilers to people who haven't seen it. But it was like that. I will say that you talk about Palpatine style, man. That's there's a full on Palpatine in that. In that show.
Yeah.
Good. Anyway, so it's this is Travis Knight doing this is pretty exciting. But I got to ask you guys, man, do you think this is a good move? You know, Jared Leto as Skeletor. The more and more I think about it, I'm actually on board with it because they got to make him jacked up because Skeletor was jacked. He was as big as He-Man was. I mean, they don't have to, but they should.
And is he always in the outfit?
So Skeletor, it depends on how. Yes, he always has an outfit, but the question is, what's the lore that they're going to adapt? Because the lore to me in the 2002 one was the best one, like the lineage that came before, who Skeletor actually was in connection with the royal family was done very well, and why he is essentially a living skeleton that is explained in the 2002 series. It's not explained in the 80s series. It's not explained in the Masters of the Universe movie in 87. They have an opportunity to really set the lore if they want, as we were just talking about, like with the Gollum movie, if they want to continue and potentially do a franchise, that's how you do it. So I'm curious if they're going to do that or not do that. But anyway, all right, that's it. Jared Leto potentially as Skeletor. I'm very curious if people think that will work, and if Travis Knight is the right person to do it. Please put your comments in there. Tell me exactly what you think. Okay, I think that this is. If we have any other, have you watched Rebel Ridge yet?
Oh no, I have. I almost started it, but I didn't.
So people are loving this movie.
Yeah, I watched half of it.
So you didn't love it?
No, I did love it.
Oh,
it was just like a 1 a.m. watch.
Okay.
Yes, Rebel Ridge with Aaron Pierre. We liked this movie.
Okay, well the half that you saw.
Yeah, okay, this is the reason why I was a little bit distorted. It kind of did you watch it yet?
No, I didn't watch it yet.
Okay, I won't say how it ends, but it just ends.
Wait, hold on. Wait, everybody's confused, including me.
I know. I'm so sorry.
So I
watched the whole thing. I forgot. So what does that say? I don't feel like getting into
it. I don't know.
All I know is when I see photos, I think fondly of the performances, and it's a really there's some what's the Denzel Washington Equalizer vibes in there a little bit. And I just kind of ended where I wanted more.
So I saw the trailer of it, and I will tell you that from the trailer, I said, so this is essentially just First Blood. It's the Rambo movie. It's First Blood, and in First Blood, the novel is a little bit as Roke and I were talking about it on Mondays. It's very raw, but this movie looked very much like First Blood. But I was always saying this. If you're gonna remake, because I think even when we talked about this recently, where you were on last week, and we talked about Jenna Ortega's comments, right? And she talked about instead of just swapping out characters that we've seen before and remaking, doing Jamie Bond or whatever, too, make similar things, but give people their own movies. Great, 100%. Do it, and people love this movie. I haven't seen it yet. I want to see it, but I said this. Okay, they took the skeleton of First Blood, and they're making this movie, and I think that's exactly what they've done in the past with Star Wars, the Seven Samurai, other different things that they've done. You take the skeleton for it, and then you make it your own, and that's what it seems like this movie was. But I've seen people really digging it, and you said it's okay. But you like the performance?
No, it's not okay. It is good. I'm just saying I clearly forgot a little that I finished it, so that's not great. But that's on me. It was like a 2 a.m. watch. So
that's tough.
But it was really good. And the lead actor I hadn't seen before, but I looked into him because I was like, oh, he's really good.
That's the one that Mike brought up for when we were talking last week about Green Lantern, and he said that he should play Jon Stewart. That's who Mike was talking about.
Oh, yeah, he's really talented, and he's a good action star.
Okay.
And then I was seeing that John Boyega was originally to star in it,
wow.
and he dropped out mid-filming, but I'm kind of glad. I'm a huge John Boyega fan.
New stars. Open the door for new stars,
exactly,
man.
Exactly. But I think that they teeter, if they were paying an homage to Rambo, which I could totally see, they changed it enough for the character because I don't think, and I could be wrong, but I don't know if Rambo would have the same. They did a lot of social work in the movie too, but it wasn't too in your face, which I really liked. It was just kind of like this really contained how one thing can lead to another, and how this guy's like, I warned you, now I'm gonna have to take you down and ruin your day for it.
Yeah,
but they couldn't have gone as bloody as Rambo with this certain story.
Well, somebody said, the first book, the book of Rambo 72, is a completely different story. It's about PTSD. It's about a bunch of it's brutal. It's brutal, the book. But another reference that people brought up, and maybe it's more current, is Jack Reacher. Is what people are saying, that it's similar to Jack Reacher, which I've seen the first season and really enjoyed. But anyway, I asked you guys what you think about. Well, I didn't even get into the damn story. It's number one. It's number one on the charts. So there you go. You give it kind of it's right now. It's number one charts. People are talking about it. There's your story. Perfect.
That's exciting.
Thank you. So here's the other story that we're going to end with, and then get into the questions. But it'll be a short thing, Steph, because we got 9, which is great. You got 9 questions, but you're gonna have to come for the champs next week, maybe with Brett back.
Okay.
Josh Brolin won't be doing Lanterns, so we get an answer. You get an answer. Josh Brolin has reportedly passed on an offer to star as Hal Jordan in the upcoming Lanterns TV series from DC Studios and Warner Brothers Television. Hollywood Reporter revealed the news, confirming that Brolin was eyed to play the cocky Hal Jordan, previously played by Ryan Reynolds in the 2011 film, which was an infamous box office disaster. According to multiple sources, Brolin received an offer late August and made the decision this past weekend. The trade also shot down the rumor of Matthew McConaughey being up for the role. Casting rumors that revealed Brolin's potential involvement have indicated that they're looking for an actor in their 50s for the role, aiming for an older Hal Jordan character to work alongside a younger Jon Stewart character. That role has yet to be cast. The story sees the two characters investigating an earthbound murder with larger implications. The tone said to have a gritty, True Detective style feel. Chris Mundy from Ozark serves as a showrunner on the 8-episode series and will co-write with Watchmen and Lost producer Damon Lindelof and author Tom King. Casting is currently underway. Directors are being hired, and shooting aims to run from January to June in Atlanta. So this kind of does two things. If you are listening to the reporter here, it shoots down the possibility of Josh Brolin doing it, and it shoots down McConaughey. So you lose these two potential big actors, but it also, if you believe that kind of the reporter's report, that McConaughey was never in the role in the running in the first place. So the question is, are they still going after those kind of big names? Is Ewan McGregor? That's another name that was mentioned. Is that someone they go after? I'm really loving the fan idea that came in here of Joel Edgerton. That would be amazing if they could get Edgerton to do it. I don't know if they can with Dark Matter season 2 taping, or prepping rather. But you hear this, that Brolin, let me ask you, Steph, from what I gathered in that report, the most interesting thing was that he was offered it, in August. He comes back, he waits and says no. Why, speculation, but why would you think that he said no on this?
Like he might be filming something else, or saw the script and isn't really interested in it, or maybe they're starting to shoot the next Dune Messiah faster than we thought.
I don't know. Yeah, I don't know about that. This one's gearing up because you're getting all the information on it. My reasoning is to guess: A, he's done with superhero genre. B, both of that and the fact that he doesn't want to commit at all Or maybe it's just the fact he doesn't want to commit because he's, what is he, 55, 50? How old is he? I'm going to guess. I'm going to say Josh Brolin is 57 years old.
He's 56.
56. Okay, so he's 56 years old. And so he's going to commit to a 6 to 8 episode series on HBO Max, which is television's a time commitment, okay? Then he's probably going to be in at least 1 to 2 movies. So he's probably like, that's a lot for me, guys. That's a lot. And it just, not that I wouldn't want to do it, and he probably thought about it. He probably thought about it and said, all right, I want to work with James Gunn. I want to do this stuff. I like where they're going here, but it's just, the time commitment's too much. I just can't. He doesn't need the money. He doesn't need it. Doesn't need it. In order to do it, like I said, he's a very established actor. He can get another role like not like this maybe, but he can get another role in a franchise. All the franchises he's been in. He can go in anything. Hey, I want to do one thing in Star Wars. Can you give me one? What's your next movie coming up?
Right. He's been acting since he was like 5.
Is it that? Yeah, he's been that. I mean, he's been around. I mean, at least.
Well, because Goonie. Well, he was a teenager in Goonies.
But still with his dad.
At least a preteen. That's crazy.
Yeah, and he comes from his dad. Everybody else. I mean, he comes from the business. He's been in this business for a very long time. So
yeah.
My personal opinion is that he just said, I'll think about it, but this is just too much of a commitment for me. Well, we'll see. Yeah. Now the question is going to be like, who do you think they're going to get? Are they going to get somebody big? Are they going to get somebody, do they have somebody kind of lined up? What do you guys think? I'm so curious to hear everybody's thoughts. Make sure that you put your thoughts in there. I got to know. All right, we're going to answer your questions. There's some questions that have come in, and once those questions are done, we will call it a day here. But before I do, I got to tell you guys about The Perfect Gene. I've told you about The Perfect Gene, and I've been telling you about them. They're really, really great. What I love about The Perfect Gene is how comfortable they are. Because here is the big problem. Steph, the podcast ads, and it sounds like a robot that's reading a script.
Yes.
Well, here's me, the robot, reading the script.
Right.
Yeah, this is the bit. They sent me the jeans, and after wearing them to battle dragons in a video game, I can confidently say that they're even better than advertised. But is that my true opinion, or is that just me reading the script? Well, there's only one way to find out. Picture this: 700,000 pairs of nuts rescued from bad jeans. That's two per dude. The hero, the perfect gene. You got to say goodbye to stiff cardboard denim and hello to comfort. They fit like they were custom made. They stretch like you wouldn't believe, and they look fantastic. They really do look fantastic. I get compliments from my wife all the time. They're comfortable. I talked about this. I went apple picking with them, and I just really dig it. They also have, it's not just jeans. They have revolutionized T-shirts also. That's right. They did T-shirts. And the perfect gene, it is got this T-shirt that it hides their beer belly while accentuating your arms and your chest for that flawless look. It's soft as butter without shrinking in the wash like all your other tees. It's just perfect. It's got free shipping, all of that. Now it's finally time. You got to stop crushing your balls in uncomfortable jeans by going to theperfectgene.nyc, and our listeners will get 15% off your first order, plus free shipping, free returns, free exchanges when you go and use that code BIGTHING at checkout. 15% off for new customers at theperfectgene.nyc with the promo code BIGTHING. After you purchase, they're going to ask you where you guys heard about it. Make sure that you head on over to and tell them that it was indeed us, that we're the ones that told. So make sure you do that, please. And one more that I've been telling you guys about, and that, of course, those are our friends over at PrizePicks. That's right, PrizePicks. So it is time. It is whether it's football, baseball, PrizePicks great, and it's America's #1 fantasy sports app. It's got over 5 million active members. It's the easiest and most exciting way to play daily fantasy sports. Unlike other apps on PrizePicks, it's just you against the numbers. All you do is more or less you 2 to 6 player stat projections, and you watch the winnings roll in. So if you want to play alongside Drewski, Joe Budden, MMA champ, Sugar Sheen O'Malley, that's right. You can find community plays under the promo tabs of the app to view entries from some of the biggest names in the PrizePicks community each week. PrizePicks, it's the only real money daily fantasy platform with an injury insurance policy so that your lineups stay in place even if your players get injured. So for me, I just want something that's simple, fun and simple and easy. So that's what I did. I've asked people, like, what are the best ones? And people are like, PrizePicks, do PrizePicks. So it's, to me, and it has to be easy. Has to be just, okay, sign up, do it. So if you download the PrizePicks app today and you use that code BIGTHING, you get $50 off instantly when you play $5. That's it. That's the code BIGTHING on PrizePicks to get $50 instantly when you play $5. You don't even need to win to receive the $50 bonus. It's guaranteed. PrizePicks, run your game. So thank you, everybody. Thank you to PrizePicks and, of course, the perfect Gene. All right, Steph, are you ready for these questions?
Yes.
People want to ask you some stuff. So
okay,
let's get to it. Let's get to our first one. And that, of course, is for Ewok. You know, remember Ewok?
Ewok.
The man who confused you last time.
The next movie.
That's right. I'm rooting for Steph to beat Roxy and Mike's 47. Not today, but maybe she'll win one of these. I'm going to make a leaderboard soon.
Okay.
Errol, he's back on again. Ewok. With Potter casting underway, who should play the adults? I doubt they're going to go with big names, so I'm picking Tobias Menzies for Snape and Jared Harris for Dumbledore, following in his dad's footsteps. I don't know yet. You know, it's like, I think they're going to get the casting pretty well. I think they're going to do the casting well. I'm not worried about it. I don't think they should be big stars. I don't think they need to be, especially with English actors. But do you have anybody in mind that you think should play these roles?
I always like when they bring in these classical British actors.
Yeah.
So I don't know exactly who. I mean, I don't need them to be massive names, but kind of I like to learn more about certain British actors through getting cast in a film like Harry Potter. Like, there's so many of them where I'm like, oh yeah,
right.
And then you look at their record and they've been a legend, old English actor forever.
Yeah. So I mean, I think that's what it is. That's what they're going to wind up doing. They're going to wind up casting somebody who's like legendary, really solid actor, and then you're going to be blown away by it. They've got to go after great actors because. We talked about this yesterday. You're going to always have those comparisons to the original cast of the movies, and you're going to want to do a Heath Ledger type situation where you're like, yeah, so and so Daniel Radcliffe was great, but man, this kid really nailed Harry. Or this, yeah, of course, the great Alan Rickman, he was the best, but man, so and so really got the cadence of Snape. Also, we have two great performances now as this character, but what you don't want is, oh, they got this star, but. It's not as good.
Because when you rewatch, I rewatch the movies like once a year. Yeah. Honestly, I love them so much, but they're not like. I'm not saying I wouldn't want Christian Bale in here, but they're not like Christian Bale is Dumbledore, where you're like thinking that the entire time. It's these actors that are very famous, very respected, but they're not like Hollywood Walk of like they can't go anywhere here.
Right.
You know, and I like that for.
Well, even look at Richard Harris, the late great Richard Harris, who played Dumbledore when the first two movies. You know, obviously he passed away after the second one, but like he was a very legendary actor, but not in the way they're like, oh my God, they got Richard Harris. You know, like like everybody in the world. Like there were a lot of people who, oh man, that's valid. They got Richard Harris. Thank you. I believe I was still the best Dumbledore. I do too, sir. I do too. And they were both phenomenal.
Amazing.
Both phenomenal. But anyway, so there you go. Thank you very much for that question. I think that's going to be once the casting comes, it'll be a story we continue to cover on this one. Cinema Fan 324, why didn't Sony just cancel Madame Web, knowing that the movie wasn't going to do well? Any excitement for Venom 3 and the Sony Spider-Man universe going forward? Well, to answer your question, they already spent enough. They already spent money on it. They spent money on it. Then you look at something like Batgirl, right? Batgirl is a very rare case where they took a tax credit, never released it, never did anything with it, and that was it. There's got to be enough for them to say, okay, we can't make any money on this at all. Like, even, yes, it's going to be a loss, but can you get any of your money back? And don't forget, Madame Web did very well on like Netflix or whatever. It was like the #1 movie on. Didn't you say you watched it and you didn't mind it, right?
Yeah, I didn't mind it, guys. Obviously, there's blaring issues, but I actually like the overall movie just fine.
Matt Sarah said the same thing, and you guys both watched it on Netflix. You didn't watch it in the theater, and it did very well on Netflix, and it became like a big winner for them on Netflix. So they licensed it out. They made some money on it. So you don't want to like not release it at all. And plus, the money that they did make in the theater paid for some stuff. Like they didn't. It wasn't. I mean, at least they made some money back. Because if you don't put it in the theater at all, you get no ticket sales. You make no money on it at all, and then it becomes a major loss. So you have to try to put it out and make some money. That's why they put it out on February 14th. You do everything you can. They looked at it and said, what a stink pile this thing is. How are we going to make some money on this thing? And that's how they made some money on it. So you have to put it out. As far as excited for Craven on that last trailer, we discussed it. I think you and I talked about it last time. The trailer looked really good. I couldn't believe it.
Yeah.
And now after what I've done after Transformers 1, this was the most surprising movie of the year for me. And so maybe Craven is the same thing. Maybe Craven turns out, I'm like, holy crap, what the hell's going on? I expected that to be a fart fest too, and that was really good. So I don't know if excited is the word, but I'm curious. Venom 3, no, I don't really care. I forget where you stand on those movies, Steph.
I don't care.
Yeah.
I think it's always fun to hear how well they do in the box office, which is shocking. But I'm always excited for movies to do well in the box office. So I hope it does the same, but it's not my jam.
Okay. Tom Hanks is in the house. And Tom Hanks says, sometimes I fear Star Wars has more misses than it has hits. Overall, it's full of history. The original trilogy, Mando, Andor, Rogue One, Clone Wars, Rebels are great. Past that, each film or show has their own crop of issues. How do you feel? I don't think you're wrong. I think that there's more misses than hits right now with Star Wars, but it's like there's just something about it that it's like I never succumb to the idea that when I see comments like Star Wars is dead. Dead means it has no chance to ever come back. That's what dead means. It means it's over, done. You're never, no matter what, in 20, 30, 40, 50 years, no one can ever revive it. It's dead. That's what dead means. In a bad state, in trouble, sure. But dead, no. And it's because there's so much magic involved in what the potential of this thing could be that even if those ones have misses, you're like, oh, but it was everything. Look at the show, Steph, about Obi-Wan, right? So much potential, so many great things, so much fun stuff with the fights. Acolyte, putting it out in that time period. Oh, the Sith, is it going to be... When you hear about it when they're announced, you remember how excited you and I were when we watched that trailer for Obi-Wan?
Yeah.
We thought the sky is the limit. So do you agree with the notion of what Mr. Hanks is saying here?
Yes, I do. I think it's really tough because I think that because Star Wars, the original trilogy, was so legendary, so unique, and absolutely changed the way we view movies and think about movies and blockbusters, that it will take so much for Star Wars to be considered dead. I do think because of that, because of how good their movies were, we placed them on such a high pedestal, and the lore and books that we might love, or the different projects we might love, that it's on this high pedestal. But I've learned to look at these newer shows as they're probably not going to, right now, I want them to reach that again, but right now I'm not viewing them as like they need to blow me away anymore, because there's so much good TV and there's so many great movies out now. I just want them to be good and stay true.
Yeah, it's the same. That's exactly right. It needs to stay true. And as I say, I'm going to be skeptical until there's a regime change. I'm just going to be skeptical. I just don't think this current team can make it work. They can maybe have a hit movie, maybe they can have a hit show, but then something will come where they're going to, they'll have a big plate, they'll have it all ready, and then they're going to drop it right in the middle of the kitchen. Nobody's going to be able to eat. So, we'll see. Okay, next question. And thank you for that one, by the way. Dennis Hoffman. Kristian, Transformers 1, is it okay for my 4-year-old? He loves Transformers. Excited to take him. Did you read Skybound's Transformers G.I. Joe comics? I love them. And no, but you're not the first person to tell me how great they are. People tell me how Skybound's comics are wonderful with G.I. Joe and Transformers, and I'm excited to see them. As far as your 4-year-old goes, I would have told you when I saw the trailer. Yes, after seeing the movie, I don't know. My 12-year-old told me it was PG-13. I didn't realize that. I mean, it's not. I just this is a harder thing to say to a dad about your kid because you know your kid better than I do, obviously, right? So it's like at 4, there's some dark things in it, but I don't know what he has seen that he can handle. It's not like there's nothing. It's still animation and there's still stuff that it's you can handle it, but there's some themes, but there's some good humor. So I don't know the answer. It's hard. I just wouldn't feel right saying, yeah, you can take your 4-year-old to see it. I don't know your kid, and what he can handle. But loving Transformers is a positive because it is an ultimate Transformers movie. It is about as true to the Transformers that I've seen in a long time. I have to go back and watch Bumblebee because in my mind, because of recency bias, I'm going 1986 Transformers 1, Bumblebee, but I got to see Bumblebee again.
Damn.
Yeah, it's great. It's a great movie. I want to see it again. Alaska Winter 923. Are you looking forward to The Legend of Vox Machina season 3? I never watched it. Do you love it?
I love it.
Okay.
I love it so much. The show is so underrated, and anyone I know who's seen it feels the same way.
Yeah, people love it. People love it.
So it's so funny that you said that. It probably popped up on my algorithm because Prime knows that I've watched it, but it just popped up again, and I was thinking, when is the new season coming out? Because I thought it was supposed to be soon, but it indeed is. So all is well.
True. Okay. Next one here, and this is from our buddy Mike Joyce. Kristian, you have a dog. Any advice for Steph now that she has a new puppy? Steph, any advice for Kristian now that he's doing more movie reactions? So yeah, did you know? So the first one we did was Matt, Sarah, and I did Borderlands, which is up on the channel now. Sadie did one with me, and that's coming out this Friday. That's Trap. Okay,
cool.
Yeah, next week is Long Legs with my friend Tina, and then the following week is Logan with my friend Samantha. So those are the 4 that we're doing. We're doing it every Friday, and we're doing it. I think we're going to drop them at like 9 a.m. EST every Friday.
And you're doing a mixture of movies you've seen, but with someone who
that's
hasn't
what I've been doing.
Seen it, and newer. Okay, cool.
That's what I've been doing.
Yeah, that's awesome.
Except the first. Well, I should say the older movies, like the newer movies, like Borderlands. Neither one of us has seen it. Long Legs. Neither one of us has seen it. And then and Trap. Neither one of us has seen it. But Logan, I obviously saw. But but my friend Sam had no idea. She had no clue what it was. She didn't know it was about Wolverine. She didn't know. She hasn't seen any of the X-Men
That's
films.
crazy.
She's seen one. She saw Deadpool and barely even remembers it. So we're probably going to watch that. She hasn't seen Deadpool 2. She's hilarious. She's so good, and like she's going to be one that people. I know that the people, they're going to love everybody, but they're going to love Sam. But as far as advice, just make sure that just don't be a douche.
For movie reactions, obviously you've been on camera and the mic for your whole life. You don't need advice. The only thing I've learned the brutal way is that people go, unless there's a rare exception like Dear Evan Hansen, people go to the movie reactions because it's a movie that they love. So I just now am trying to keep that more in mind. Not, you know me, I'm not gonna like shit on a movie, but I keep that more in mind because you just don't. You will offend them in a way that's violent.
Yeah, unless like, look, my wife and I'll tell you right now, we were watching Trap because I don't think there's gonna be a lot of people that love Trap. I mean, people
right.
Like when I think you're talking about like the classics, right? Well, it's Logan or things like that, because newer movies, because there's one line that we laughed really, really hard at. There was some stuff with Trap, it was fine. But I really dug our reaction to it. My wife was hilarious on it. And then Sarah and I didn't love Borderlands, but I know what you're saying though. When it comes to like the main classics,
newer movies, you definitely have more leeway.
Yeah, as far as a dog goes, I mean, how old is your the little one?
She's almost 10 weeks.
Okay, 10 weeks, right? So it's just like
she's growing so fast.
It's patience is the thing. Is patience is it's like having a kid. So it's like that's the main thing. It's just patience. you gotta try to do, and then and then there's certain freedoms. You can't just travel whenever you want to travel. Now you gotta find somebody to watch the dog. So
you know what's changed everything with the dog?
What?
Well, first of all, she came iconic. Her whole personality is iconic. I have no notes for her.
That.
She is actually the best. But I will say we got Harry's dad, her sibling. So anytime she sees the sibling, it's like, screw you, mom and dad. And I'm having that first whiplash of what parents feel when their kids turn to teenagers and don't want to hang out with them.
Yep.
And I get actually offended. Like, I take it personal. Like, you little shit. I pay for all your food and I pamper you and you do your makeup with me. Like, we're besties. But boiling chicken and giving her like chicken pieces when she does good stuff, it's a game changer. Like, my old snack, I just got like puppy treats, training treats from Amazon. No, she can sniff that that's no good from a mile away. She is spoiled, so she wants real organic chicken breast, and that's what I'm giving her. And it's made. She listens to everything I say now.
I love you because of the chicken. It's amazing. Yeah.
Yes.
It's true. Bribe them with food. Okay. There's a couple left here. Don Ronaldo McWhiskey just wanted to send support and thanks. Name. Thank you, Don. Very kind of you, Don, just sending in some support here. I appreciate that. The great Derek Johnson, who comes in, he's here all the time. Derek, thank you, Derek, once again. We gave so much yesterday because if we didn't, Mike would have sat quietly with one-word answers, and Roxy would have been complaining the whole show. That's true. You're not wrong. Love the show, and as always, Steph, it's always great to hear her opinions. Thank you, Derek. Very, very kind of you. Yeah, it's true. Like Roxy just wanted to beat Roka. That was really where it came down to. Roxy wanted to beat Roka, so it was like she went on her campaign, and then that was it. She took the title. She took the title on her first fight. You're gonna have a couple. You got a couple fights left in you, champ.
Yeah. You gotta start easy so that they start underestimating you, and then you come in hard.
It's true.
You're ready.
Well, because I think between your show so far averages a nice 10 to 12. I like that, and you're playing. You're I would say as the WWE goes, you're like the mid card. But you got to get to the main event level with Roxy.
Yep.
And then we got I Am Jax 12. What's been the holdup moving on from Kathleen Kennedy? So much creative turmoil under her watch. Is it strictly the financials? It's a great question. I mean, I think it's a great question because it's like, it's got to be one of these things as far as contracts go, but it's like where... I mean, the Indiana Jones thing is the one that's baffling to me because after a flub like that, and when you're spending $300 million on a movie and it tanks in such an iconic way, then it's like, what are we doing here? And then if the answer is, well, let me put together none of these Star Wars movies. I've put together a few of them, and every one of them has made over $1 billion except Solo, and that's your fault, Bob, because you made me put it out in May. If you put it out in December, we would have had 6 that hit, or whatever it was. What was it? How many have they had that hit $1 billion? 4? They had 4 out of 5 movies, right? So we would have had them all hit if it would have been you. If it wouldn't have been for you. So, they say, okay, fine. Well, what's your strategy? Well, my strategy is to do this movie with Patty Jenkins. Well, that fell through. Okay. Well, my strategy is to do this movie with Benioff and Weiss. Well, that fell through. We have my strategy to do it with this. Well, then where's this movie? You can't have another. You gotta give me a movie. All right. Well, I got a movie, and Favreau's going to do it. It's Favreau. He reinvented all of Marvel. Let me take this one to the hole. Okay, fine. So take it to the hole. You got May 2026. I feel like that's it. Some people think that she's going to be walking away after it. To me, it makes the most sense if you are able to go with Favreau, make a ton of money in May with Mandalorian and Grogu, and then say, the hell with this. I don't want to do this anymore. I'm going to go somewhere else now. Good luck to whoever else is doing this December movie. I'm done. I've done. This is my my $5 billion Star Wars movie. I'm out. And then you take it with a win, regardless of the criticism. What do you think, Steph?
Yeah, I think it's such an odd discussion that we've been having for so long. Yeah, it feels like forever that people have had problems, and some of it's I don't agree with, and some of it's just actual numbers and seeing the discourse around the movies, and just genuinely respected critiquers who are just making actual not just hate critiques for clickbaits, but actual proper critiques that make sense and that should be taken seriously. So for a few reasons, I feel like it feels like to me there's no reason why this should keep going on. I think that she's a legendary producer and should move on. Like, I don't think anyone should stay attached their entire life or their like second part of their life to one thing necessarily, because especially a franchise that's so massive, because it continuously ebbs and flows and changes and does currently need more change. So it's not even personal, really. There's personal aspects, of course, but my thing is like not even personal. I just feel like it's time to move on.
I think so too. It's like we're both sports fans. It's like, okay, you were the coach for a while. You won a couple championships. You haven't had a winning season in a while. It's time for a new coach. And but I don't think that it should be the same coaching staff. I think it should be a whole new coaching staff, not just like, well, there's all these other people that are making decisions there still, even though she's not there anymore. You still have all the other ones that were there. You got to move them all out. You got to move them all out. You got to bring new people. Well, it's two more before we go, Steph. I was wrong. I am Jax. Okay. 12. Follow up. Who do you put in as far as for the new person? Someone new that we don't know. Not in the same way you didn't know who Kevin Feige was when he took over. Nobody knew who Kevin Feige was. Let someone create their legacy there, and not someone that like is a well-known name. A new up-and-coming executive, 30 to we'll say 40 to 50 years old, coming in there who's got some experience. Someone new that not new to the business, but someone new that you don't know. That's who they need, and they need somebody who loves Star Wars, that loves the creative, and he or she can take them to the finish line. That's what they need. Derek Johnson. Star Wars keeps trying to recapture nostalgia, and they just can't do it. I agree completely that a new regime is needed with new stories in a wider universe. We've seen the same 4 planets for over a decade in every movie or TV show. Yeah, it's like, it says something when the fan films are better. Every fan film that comes out is better because it's just people who understand it way more. And they get one guy over there who says, like, no, this is the way that it is. This is the way George wanted it. This is how Star Wars should be. So listen to me. And it's like, no, dude, no. So they need a whole new thing. I keep hearing this. Is this? And this might be Aaron. I think this might be the same guy who keeps telling me this. You will love Taskmaster on YouTube. It's a mix of Clue and Who's Line and Jackass. 5 comedians. Yeah, I don't know if he's the same guy who's been telling me about this, but do you know about this Taskmaster? No. I don't know. It's not the first time I've been hearing about it, but it might be actually this person.
British game show.
Oh, okay. To check it out. You'll probably like that. Yeah. You know, Matt Serra, who I've been doing a lot of stuff with, he launched his show yesterday, and it's the Matt Serra channel. We were talking about X-Men. He did the X-Men, the top from worst to best. He did it with Phoenix Carnivale, who is another fellow kind of geek, but also an MMA reporter, and then they had a great episode, and I think he actually went on. I don't know if it's out yet, but he went on Rogan. He's going to be on Rogan promoting it. So if you guys have a chance to go and check out Matt Serra's YouTube channel, it's just Matt Serra, and go over there. And I'm in the first episode as producing the show. But
oh, cool.
Yeah, you should check it out. It's great. And Matt's such a funny dude, big personality. Love working with him. So check it out. Let's see. No, I'm telling you, I'm not talking about the production of overall with fan films. I'm just saying they know the essence of it better. People are saying that most fan films are awful. I mean, when it comes to the essence of it, the essence and the idea, like they just feel like they understand it more.
Yeah.
Ingrid Plaza, you're at 14 now, Steph. Off topic.
Nice.
But I send some inebriated text to someone I'm dating late last night during the debate. I'm scared to read through my text. Any advice? Steph, take it away.
Oh my gosh. Delete them and pretend it never happened.
Well, what do you know? Did you ever send a great text drunk?
A great text. Not to a guy that I've liked.
Oh, it's always
I'd probably
been
send a great text to a friend like I've got burritos, and that's like the best drunk text you could ever send to someone. Is like bringing them food. That's like, oh,
great.
Okay, I like true. You in real life.
That's true.
I dread this for you so much. I bet you didn't say anything that bad. If you did, perhaps then. I always think if their instinct is to be a drunk crier or a drunk fighter or a drunk slob, then you should drink less.
Yeah.
Those three things are so not the vibe. But nothing's that big of a deal unless you were really
well. Let's read through this again because this is what scares me. Okay. Off topic, I sent some inebriated text to someone I'm dating late last night during the debate. Okay. I'm scared to read through them. So the question is this.
Okay.
Were you tweeting politics? Are you on the same page politically? If that was the case, if you're dating, how long you've been dating to where you can do it, and what were you saying as far as the debate, or was it sexy stuff? And inside of that, going, was it like, oh, you know what? Now I'm gonna shoot my shot during the debate because nothing turns me on like a debate. So I don't know. We need more info, I think.
Yeah. What do you think the genre of the text were?
That's a good call. It's like, what was it? Like, was it, like, wait a minute, there's so much. And it's, but that.
But it happens to us all. It's happened to us all.
Did I ever tell you the one that I got that I have? I've got to find it. I was at this Halloween party. I think I've told you about this. I was at a Halloween party, and there was a girl that was interested. This is when I was doing stand-up. I was very single. And there was a girl that was interested that kind of been flirting. Very attractive girl, by the way. Very attractive. But she got very hammered, right? She was so hammered, and she was just saying ridiculous things. And I'm like, no. I went up leaving with someone else that night at this party. I got a phone call. I have this message still. We laugh about it still. And I don't know what. I have to find it. And it says, you want to go home with a drunk costume and you don't got balls, better use them, then drop them. Don't be scared. Don't be scared is what it was. And I woke up to that and I went, what in the world? I have it somewhere.
Oh my God, no.
I've got to play it.
And you're still friends with her?
No, I haven't spoken. I ran into her not to, she's in LA now, but I ran into her, and it was fine. And we kind of laughed about it, but it was the.
You gotta find it, and I hope that you're not too late as trends go. There's a trend on TikTok where it's like, so we're playing our ex's voicemails to us, and you play the voicemail and you word it.
She wasn't an ex though, but she wasn't an ex. This was some. She was.
I know, but you just say that.
Yeah, she was interested. But I quickly became uninterested after that phone call.
That's a deal breaker. Unfortunately, I hope you didn't send that. Who sent the super chat?
Don't be scared.
Don't be scared. Don't be scared.
That was sent by Ingrid.
Ingrid,
don't be scared. Don't be scared.
Best of luck, bud.
All right, last one here, Steph. Closing it out with 15. You did good. Good comeback. Good comeback.
Nice.
Good comeback. I am Jax 12. If you could greenlight one Star Wars project, what would it be? Someone give me a mini-series and or style of Darth Plagueis from Lucino. Well, you just took both of mine. You took Darth Plagueis, which is what I would do. I would turn that into a 6-episode, hour-long mini-series. Or Darth Bane, I would turn the trilogy of books into either movies or TV shows for sure. What do you think?
This is actually not my real answer, but I just was inspired that this could be really, really make some people mad, but would be really fun for me. I think if they want to go, how they're kind of doing this thing where every project has a different kind of audience that they're shooting at, it feels like.
Mm-hmm.
It would be fun if they did one that was during when the Jedis, the young Padawans, were in training in the Jedi Temple, and there's a little love drama. But more Jedi. I would love the Jedi training, Jedi Temple stuff. Focus in on just a very small story of a student, how they get there. I think. Well,
let me ask you this question then, Steph, because of what this is the problem when everything kind of is canon, right? Because where do they go now that they painted the Jedi in this light back in the High Republic? They're painted as complete imbeciles in the Acolyte, like terrible. There was a very stupid decision of what they did with how they were trying to do this. Not by every character can have flaws and everything, but they made the Jedi just turds. And instead of samurai, when you look at something, you look at Shogun, by the way, and then how you look at like there's not everything that the samurai do is, great and wonderful. There's some of their, you could look at some of their traditions as almost barbaric at times, but then other of it is there's so much like loyalty and faith behind it. And all these, like, that's the type of stuff that made the Jedi so great when you looked at the way that they were presented. So how do you go back from that now? Like, if you were going to do something you just said, if you're going to go back into the temple,
right?
Do you just disregard, because the show was canceled, do you just disregard what Leslie Headland set up and go, in the same way that JJ did to Ryan, like, that doesn't really count?
Maybe, or it's more in the, you can kind of change it but keep it the same if you have students talking about the hypocrisy of the higher council and kind of being like, I really want to be a Jedi, but I wonder if this is the path for me, because I feel like they're a little blinded. Kind of like how students nowadays question authoritative figures in power, not saying that they don't necessarily want to be in those positions one day, but that the people in those positions are interpreting their power incorrectly. I think could be cool, but I don't know if they would ever go that deep.
Yeah, I'm not sure, but we'll see how they're going to play it up. Again, going back to the final word is the same thing. I think they just need to gut the whole thing, and we'll see if they do. But they're not going to do it until they find out, what happens. It's that 2026 December movie is going to be very telling. We shall see.
Yes.
We shall see. All right, guys, thank you for joining us here today. And Steph, check this out right as we get to the end of the show. Perfect. Oh, that's not it. Nope. Wait a minute. There you go.
Yeah.
We got her real name finally. The whole thing. There's the lower third. Where can they find you?
At Steph Sabraw, and today we're going early on the World Girls at 3:30 p.m. PT because it's Harry's birthday and I need to chef up a feast tonight.
What are you cooking?
Oh my gosh, I'm doing so much filet mignon. I make like the best filet mignon.
Really?
It's crazy. Yes,
just the way you say it makes me believe that.
I know. It's crazy. I was like, whoa, this is like Mastro's on crack.
Where do you get it?
And I got to these ones because I'm making it for like 8 people from Costco.
Wow. Okay.
So hopefully, usually Costco meat is pretty good.
Okay.
So I'm hoping that they're okay. Sometimes I do Sprouts, but local butchers are good too. And then I'm gonna do a stuffed acorn squash because we're bringing in the fall season. It's so good. There's everything in there. And then I'm gonna do mashed potatoes, but with a Japanese sweet potato, and then roasted asparagus and carrots.
I wish I knew how to teleport.
I know. I'll take pictures. It's gonna be fire.
We do have one more question though.
Okay.
And this is from Aaron.
Nice.
It says, Taskmaster challenges with unique and ridiculous tasks for the competitors, which include painting a picture of a horse while riding a horse. The prize pot is made up of each person's personal possessions. Sounds interesting.
That's cool.
Sounds interesting. But
yeah. I'll check it out.
All right, Steph, you closed out at 16. Great job. Good comeback.
Nice.
You're a contender. Thank you for joining us as always. I don't know who's going to be back. I know Steph will be back next Wednesday. Whether Mike will be here or not, I'm not sure. It's for work schedule. We don't know. Maybe Brett will be joining us. We don't know. But we thank you guys so much for being here today. Thank you for everybody who was taking part of the live chat, for people who put in their super chats, for people who've been joining us every day here. We are live every day at 1 p.m. EST, 10 a.m. PST. So make sure that you are joining us every day. Tomorrow is going to be a good one. We are going to be talking about all the topics that are coming out, but we're also going to have Jennifer Esposito live in studio. So we'll be able to do that and talk to you guys about her new movie, Fresh Kills. That's going to be tomorrow's show. And then Friday will be me and Winston for Capes and Cows, Coys off this week. So thank you to both me. That's right. Just me and Steph. Mm-hmm. Thank you to both of us. Appreciate you guys. Subscribe if you haven't done it already. Appreciate you, and we will see you guys on the flip side. Bye.